Hey guys, welcome back to the Roman Roads YouTube channel. I'm Roman.
And I'm Rodez.
And this is the Deadpool 2 spoiler-filled review. So if you haven't seen Deadpool 2 yet, don't watch this video. We're going to talk all about the little surprises and everything, cameos that are in the movie, so you don't want it spoiled unless you do for whatever reason. Go watch our non-spoiler review that's already up on the channel. And
Juggernaut's in it.
Yes. So what'd you think of the movie?
Good.
You liked it?
It was good all the way through, beginning till the end. I like the opening intro, kind of making fun of the 007 parodies.
Yes, the James Bond title. Yeah. And, it's funny because, in the first movie, they had that whole opening sequence where the credits were like, some idiot guy or some overpaid actor. I like how they did this because before the credit sequence, they killed Deadpool's girlfriend.
And Deadpool, they showed him.
He committed suicide, right? Yeah. And I like how in the credits it kept saying, directed by, wait, what happened? Are you serious kind of thing?
It's commenting on it, yeah.
And that was one thing that I thought, I really love the humor in this movie. And kind of how it just kept on going through that. And those kind of jokes, because...
It didn't feel like it was beating a dead horse, though.
It didn't.
Even the fourth wall breaks, which you think could get old, didn't. The commentary when he was referencing things from other universes didn't get out of date. Also, the scenes that happen in the movie are different than a lot of the trailers. A lot of what he says too, and it makes sense because he's wearing a mask, and more of the movie than he was in the first one.
Yeah, that was interesting, and that's one thing I said because I really liked his physical,
his
nature.
mimery.
Yeah, like being the mime basically, and how you can tell it's really Ryan Reynolds under the mask. When he's not doing all those crazy
He brought
stunts.
that vibe to it.
Yeah.
And they had, X-Force was the big emphasis that it was like, he's with the team now, finally. Hilarious. They all died. And brutal
well, there's
fashion.
a lot of, I think the violence is one of the surprising things is because it is brutal, but it is still darkly funny. Like Deadpool committing suicide at the beginning. Yeah. I know, when I was sitting at...
He was really trying to kill himself.
I sat in a full theater. On one side of me there was these two girls who were like in their 20s, and then there was another on the other side of me. There's like a family's mother who brought her
20-year-old daughter.
No, her 12-year-old son to the movie. He was too young to be in that movie.
Right, and they even have a scene where it says, "Oh, aren't you glad that you didn't bring your kids to the movie?"
Yeah.
Well, how have you know this is a family film?
Exactly. Yeah. But it was funny because at the very beginning when Deadpool blows himself up. Especially the little kid, everybody was like, "What's going on? I don't understand." And then there's a recap, when Vanessa gets shot and stuff, and then you understand, okay, he's
murdered to
himself.
death.
But it was shocking.
No nudity in this movie, just FYI. Not that
That surprised me that there wasn't any sex scenes. There was a lot of sexual references and jokes. And that surprised me.
You do see Ryan Reynolds' penis briefly.
You do.
You do. Well, penis, but
CGI. It was CGI.
We assume and hope. But was it CGI? He didn't have it out, or was it CGI in that they did a mocap? They did little they got that little packaging foam that's looks like snow.
Getting a little too specific.
Yeah, they just dusted it, so they really get the detail for those moments that you needed.
I don't even have the budget for that.
You don't know? Oh yeah, it's still kind of low budget, wasn't it?
It was way bigger budget than the first movie, but still pretty low budget because it's rated R movie. They need to make their money back.
I bet you though, this one is going to make a decent amount enough that each
so
one is
far
climb.
It didn't beat the record that the first Deadpool movie broke on the first weekend, but it got pretty close. Yeah, and it's still making a ton of money for its budget.
Yeah. And also, don't they have merchandising? Isn't that involved in it? I'm assuming. Do you know if they get that?
They do have merchandising. I don't know. I don't think they're doing
action
figures, anything like toys.
Which is terrible because they could, and it makes so much more bank. If you could do it with Spawn, you could do it with Deadpool.
Well, back in the day, they had RoboCop and Terminator.
Yeah.
I had a Terminator toy, and I hadn't even seen
Predator, man, where they rip out a guy's spine. It's get back to an Alien. Straight up, the theme is oral rape.
Yeah.
Let's go back to good old days, man. We need it. Need it again. Ryan Reynolds plays Juggernaut. Vocally,
I didn't know that until you brought that up.
Yeah,
that was under surprise when Juggernaut comes out because I had heard some rumors that Juggernaut might be in there, or people were speculating. But how big he is, and
they did a great job. If you had a little bit of an issue with the first portrayal of Juggernaut and X-Men 3: Last Stand, which I didn't personally, it'll be redeemed. The armor is cool. The vibe is cool.
Yes.
Everything about him is good. He's all.
You
juggy.
could tell he's CGI, but I mean, he looks so tough and so strong.
It works for him being like. They make him look cartoon, like sort of.
And
what is it? I think it's the style they had for X-Force Juggernaut, kind of in a mix of X-Men Evolution Juggernaut, like with the build of him and like the style of his helmet. Oh,
he looks ridiculous.
He does look ridiculous.
In a good way.
Yeah. And they straight up reference whatever the kid asks about the helmet. He's like, "Oh, so your brother can you wear the helmet so your brother can't read your mind?" Yeah, but he's in a wheelchair, so it's even.
I didn't get that reference.
Oh,
I didn't click.
Oh, they have the other X-Men in there. Whatever they have him making that joke again about it's like the studio can't afford any more X-Men. Can't we get one more? And like by his side, there's a door, and it's actually like the Beast,
the actual X-Men from the X-Men First Class or
First
what
Class.
is it? Or
in Apocalypse,
whatever.
the whole shebangery, and they just shut the door on him.
That was one of the biggest laughs because it was like unexpected. I knew they were going to make the joke of like, we can't afford other X-Men, but then just to see him there and then Beast just kind of close the door like, yeah, we don't want to be here.
Part of it was freaking great.
But that's the one thing too is with Juggernaut, with the X-Men, it kind of goes back and fixes some of the things that weren't so great about the old movies.
Yeah. They time travel it and just straight up starts correcting the timeline.
Yeah.
Now, if you ever have questions about why did this and this happen, you could just straight up throw a Deadpool reference. Deadpool fixed it. Deadpool changed it. He thought it was funny and cool.
But let's talk a little about some of the relationships. One thing I really liked was the relationships in the movies, like the relationship between Deadpool and his girlfriend Vanessa. They have really good chemistry, but she's dead. But I like the whole.
Yeah, that after dead chemistry, it's like, I'm glad they keep it going. Maybe if you exchange enough DNA, she'll resurrect. Well, you won't know unless you try.
But that storyline too, where like he's missing something, and like he sees those visions of her like in heaven or whatever.
Yeah, when there's like a partition,
yeah,
it's like sort of a clear film, and I guess it was like his immortality, or his healing factor blocking them off, and then they like resolve it whenever they introduce the power canceling out necklaces. Mm-hmm. That looks pretty cool too, admittedly.
Pretty cool.
And they really use the phrase mutant a lot in this one, whereas they didn't really mention it in the first movie because I think there was like a little bit of a copywriting thing with they just were like call them like enhanced humans, and I think they would say it once or twice, but this time they really lay it on mutants.
And the kid, man, Jordan Dennison is his name. I haven't seen. He's been in another movie called Hunt for the Wilder People. I don't know if you know about that movie.
Oh, I've heard about it from you. You told me it's crazy.
I haven't seen it, but it's Taika Waititi.
New Zealand actor.
Taika Waititi, the guy who directed Thor Ragnarok. That was a movie he directed right before Thor Ragnarok. And it's supposed to be a really good movie, and that kid's in there. And he's a New Zealand guy. He does such a good job of being the kid.
Yeah, he's very kiddish.
He's very kiddish, very kind of honest.
Yeah.
But also very like wisecracky.
Yeah.
In some aspects, and then when he gets like all angry and stuff. You believe it.
Yeah. He seems like a kid who has tantrums.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, that's sort of based around his power. Like, he gets fire on his hands and, like, he throws fist explosions. And apparently that character was created as a replacement for the character Pyro. And they just sort of needed a generic, we need another fire guy. So they made him.
Oh, okay.
And from what I understand, his character is not very developed in the comics, which is something that that Deadpool's done a real good job of doing is developing characters that didn't have much going on and changing characters for the better. It's one of the few times where they change powers on people and it works out for the best. Negasonic Teenage Warhead in the comics has like some sort of weird precognitive but not quite dreams or some weird things. No active powers, and now she does. And her girlfriend, spoiler alert, they have
she
a
has
character.
A girlfriend,
is what's her name?
Yukio.
And that character is actually in the Wolverine movie in Japan with the red hair, and she could see people's death when she touched them. And now she can like charge up chains with like an electric energy or something.
That was the one thing.
And she's perky now.
That's the whole joke. Whenever Deadpool sees her, she says, "Well, hi Deadpool, hi Yukio."
Yeah,
that was a funny running gag. But I kind of wish that they had used them more, Yukio and Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah, careful with that name.
Yeah,
but I can see why. I mean, the movie was packed pretty dense.
It was, yeah. It was really tightly plotted movie.
Some people have brought up that they think they might be setting it up to do a split with actual X-Force without Deadpool in it, and sort of like starting off an R-rated sort of universe. Mm-hmm. Not quite, but
I would love to see the X-Force, an X-Force movie. That's one thing I said in the other review, and I think.
What?
I would like to see some of these X-Force members back.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could because
it's a time thing.
Exactly, and I love that he did that. Like, let's keep it open, but like not in a like gentle kind of way. Like, no, just bash your face in with. We have a time device.
Yeah, and
makes you go through it.
The X-Force sequence. I kind of assumed that Peter, since he didn't have any powers, he's a regular guy that shows up. I knew for sure he was gonna die, and I thought it was gonna be something horrible, some horrible dark.
I really thought he was going to survive throughout the whole thing and just be like in the corner, kind of like Dopinder. Mm-hmm. His character just sort of off to the side. And they could have killed Dopinder until they had, like, he really wanted to join up and become an assassin too. Like, he got the taste for blood. And
I thought some of those jokes were a little weird. Like, with Dopinder. That was the only humor that I thought. It wasn't bad. And it kind of didn't fall flat, but it was just kind of strange. Like, he was going kind of psychotic.
Oh, definitely he is. And I could see that.
I thought there was going to be a better payoff to that. I mean, he does. He runs over
the creepy headmaster of the school that's like torturing mutant kids.
Yeah.
And saying that like their powers are a sin or something.
Yeah.
And he enjoyed it. He enjoyed murder. After they let up that killing is bad.
But I thought he was going to become maybe more antagonist or something. And I thought the humor there was just a little.
Well, I could see it because keep in mind the whole thing with especially Wade Wilson and I think. The way his origin started is that the process of turning him into, a super mutant weapon kind of thing drove him insane. Whereas it started off this time that I guess his brain cancer was a little bit of what made him crazy. He was just naturally a bit insane. But that the people with powers can be unstable. It's an unstable world. And it showed a little bit that the whole world's not like that. Because Deadpool goes to jail with the boy for shooting a guy in the head in front of a bunch of cameras and cops, and that's not acceptable in that world. They just sort of get a bit of a pass because they're people with powers, so they have to get like special treatment. And whenever you imprison them, you need special places to do it. So the facility had like men, women, and kids in it, obviously, because
that was really cool. That whole sequence, that whole thing was really cool.
And the idea they put them like out there in the ice to isolate them. Yeah, and it makes sense that this is cool. It showed a little bit more of the world that they live in.
Yes, and just kind of like the design of everything, because it's very fantastical with all the powers and stuff, but it felt real and it felt.
The buildings aren't like crazy psychedelic, and the very little of the technology that's not from the future seems ridiculous. I think
it just seemed like a heightened reality that could. Mm-hmm. I really didn't even stop to think about. Oh yeah, there's kind of with like Avengers and stuff. There's this big fantastical stuff, and maybe that was also part of the story where it was kind of a pared down story, a very simple story. Mm-hmm. It really worked, and
like there's no hover cars in it. And there's like whenever people get on a computer or their phone, it's just a regular computer and phone. It doesn't have a heads up display unless they're from like 50 years in the future.
I think also like the reactions from the people to the fantastical stuff that was going on, it kind of really sells it as this being genuine, kind of out of the ordinary, or it's in the world and it's known, but it's still when the violence happens, it's kind of shocking,
Definitely the reaction to the people in that helicopter whenever Shatterstar got exploded in the helicopters. Yeah, he's from an alternate planet dimension, both, and his blood's green. Is also
that was oh my god! Well, the whole sequence with X-Force when they're who dies first? Isn't it Bedlam?
It was Bedlam. He gets hit by a bus.
The bus.
Yeah,
man. I'm such a big fan of Terry Crews in real life. Mm-hmm. He's such an inspiring guy, and I was like so ready to see him just like be awesome in this movie. Yeah. And then he dies, and part of me was like.
He gets hit by was a public transit bus, and everybody inside freaks out and starts screaming. It was awesome.
But it was done so funny, darkly funny, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want him to die, but it was so funny. Yeah. And then Shatterstar with the helicopter.
The dead hammer foreboding, just to let you know, randomly, there's a wind advisory, and it's like, why did they throw in that random bit of information? That's why.
And it was Peter who had brought that up, right? Was it Peter?
Second. First, the guy who was it T.J. Miller's character telling Cable, that's right. Just to let you know, there's a wind advisory. And then later,
but it kind of played like a joke, kind of like, he's being too careful. But then it
shows, he should have listened to him.
And when Shatterstar was heading towards that helicopter, it was like, I know he's getting chopped up because it happened to Bedlam.
I thought it was like, honestly, I thought he was going to do something cool.
Really? No, I was expecting it.
I was not, and it hit me.
I was expecting like the goriest stuff, him get chopped up, but then all the green blood, and I was like, that's worked. Perfect.
But you see his scalp landed
that was disgusting.
Freaking windshield.
But since it's green blood,
people are screaming. And was it Zeitgeist? Oh man, that guy was funny. Zeitgeist spits or vomits acid, right? And he just lands like he's gonna land fine. It'll be fine. And then like, he lands fine. But
the wind doesn't blow him.
When his parachute gets caught in a wood chipper.
Yes.
And it pulls him in. And it's like getting him and he still has a chance. And Peter, the regular human guy, lands
so
normally.
Cool, like to go save him.
He's like, I'm going to help. And he's like pulling him out. And it's like, I'm going to save you. And he gets caught a little bit. He's like, no, it's crushing me. He vomits acid all on the side of him. And he dies screaming.
So horrible. The Deadpool is just like sitting there like watching.
You're
like,
just,
oh my God.
No.
But it also sells more Domino's powers.
Yeah.
Because she's lucky. She has a power of luck.
Yeah.
And then she's the only one, besides Deadpool, who to get...
She's basically got the final destination power to her advantage.
Yeah. But wasn't the thing where like she lands and she's like, oh, that was easy? And then like she has Deadpool over the headset or something? Or don't they have like a comm link and then she's all like, how's everybody? He's like,
everybody's dead. The rest of the team's dead. What? Really? Yeah, it's just us now. And he's still like not believing in her power, and he like steals a moped while she like accidents her way into into the vehicle that they're driving.
Yeah,
the prison.
That was so well done. The whole luck thing, you know how you could tell was like everything was going her way.
Yeah, and it's like she doesn't know exactly what's going to happen. She just knows to follow it.
Yeah.
So you just sort of see stuff accidentally happening, and she's like, she doesn't know where it's going, and it shows like. She signs up for the team just because like she had like a feeling or something.
Yeah, she said, I think I'm here for a reason.
And it turned out that the school that was torturing the kid and the other kids had also tortured her. She shows up at the place. She's like, oh, that's why I'm here. This is my home. Oh, whoa, where I was tortured.
I think Zazie Beetz, man, she did a fantastic job of playing Domino. She just had like this spunk to her and just kind of like this, I don't know, this...
The character, too, it looked really cool. The costume design and her character, Domino, has a, sort of a black spot on her face and she's albinoism. And this time, and for the movie Deadpool 2, they flipped it around and she just is slightly calicoed and that pattern of like a triangle on her eye. And the skin's lighter. And the eye pupil is different.
It was real subtle and it was really well done.
Very. I love the Lady Luck take the wheel. And I was like, the argument was there to like, would you say Jesus take the wheel? Like they had to say like, whoa. It was awesome.
But the other member of the X-Force that we talk about was Vanisher?
Yeah, Vanisher. It was funny. He was
invisible.
At first I thought they were just making a joke that their guy sent in like a named Vanisher and he was invisible. But then they actually had a parachute that had a guy wearing it, but you couldn't see him the whole time.
And then it turns out it's another cameo by Brad Pitt.
Yep.
He gets hit by the electrical lines. And he gets shocking for that second. It's like, oh, it's Brad Pitt. Oh. And I didn't know the Hillbillies when...
I didn't catch any of them. I think you and Chris caught either.
Maybe we caught the other ones. Yeah, because when the whole thing is Cable comes back from the future to Deadpool's present. Mm-hmm. And he pops up in this field and he walks up to these two hillbillies just drinking beer and talking, sitting on the truck. And the one of them, I thought, hey, that's Alan Tudyk. He did the voice of K2SO in Rogue One. He played...
he was the pilot in Firefly and Serenity.
He was in Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Yes,
and that's where I kind of clicked it because he played the hillbilly in that movie.
That's funny because that's not a popular movie.
That isn't.
It is a cult
and
classic.
I recently just watched that movie. It's
and
a
then
funny movie.
Opposite him, other hillbilly was Matt Damon.
I didn't know it was Matt Damon. I was trying to figure out who it was because I was like,
did I.
If this is Alan Tudyk, the other guy has to be somebody, and I, for the life of me, didn't know it was
that. I caught. I did not notice a Stan Lee cameo. Neither did he.
No, I don't remember Stan Lee cameo.
And it might not have been. Some people, maybe could have missed it. Also, fun fact: some people have suggested that Deadpool be the new cameo in every movie with Stan Lee's inevitable.
That's one of the things I said in non-spoiler review. Is that I would love to see Deadpool as a supporting character in more movies. If an X-Force movie, even a X-Men movie. I just don't know how much...
Ecstatic.
Ecstatic?
I just got the name of that. There was a Ecstatic comic, and it was like about them, was it really mutant-y looking mutants? And they were like, was on a reality TV show, and they were just more about the greed and being famous. And it was called Ecstatics. And it's like, now I get ecstatic. Oh, yeah. Decades.
But because I don't know how many more movies, like regular just Deadpool movies, they can kind of continue.
A lot.
Do you think so?
I do. They could straight up Wolverine it, man. I think they can, because he holds up his own. And from what I understand, the balance between how much it costs to make a movie versus how much it makes, even if it didn't make the original Deadpool numbers, it's just profitable.
But I mean, I know how, film business works and stuff. It seemed like they would have to kind of escalate things movie by movie. So
you think so? Because did they escalate it in this one? I don't really feel like it did. It was a little
bigger. Like plot-wise, story-wise, it wasn't bigger.
I feel like Ryan Reynolds is doing a pretty good job of kind of reining in everybody and keeping it right on what Deadpool should be, I think.
And again, we don't know about the Fox-Disney merger. What's going to happen?
I heard that it might not happen, actually.
Because Comcast is offering a lot of money. Upfront cash. Ooh. Disney's offering cash in stocks.
Do you want that stocks, honestly? With Disney stocks, I'd want Disney stocks. Yeah, more than I'd want Capcom's cash. Because Capcom's cash takes care of you and your kids. Disney's cash and stocks, those stocks take care of you and your lineage. Yeah.
Well, Bob Iger said that if Disney were to own Fox, there's a big chance they would continue with Deadpool. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I want to see that X-Force movie now with those guys and maybe some other extra characters.
I want to see a Deadpool Spawn movie.
Deadpool Spawn movie. That would be amazing.
Just overdo it.
They are making a Spawn movie, a new Spawn movie.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. It's going to be rated R finally.
Yeah.
All right, fun other superhero movies coming out. They're making a Teen Titans Go
I saw the trailer for that.
It does look pretty funny. They have Nicolas Cage as the voice of Superman.
Yes, I'd heard about that.
Because he was supposed to be the first Superman in the new
Superman
reboot. Lives. He didn't.
Yeah.
Any other spoilers that we left out?
We're going to talk about Cable. He was just awesome, man.
He was pretty great. Not really anything spoilery there. Little Easter egg was that he has a really awesome gun, and the nodule on it goes up to 11. There's a Spinal Tap reference there. And if you weren't certain about it, Deadpool straight up calls him a spinal tapping turds nugget, I think. But he calls him Spinal Tap. He make sure to land it in case you weren't uncertain what this joke was about. That's what it was.
That was another thing I guess to talk about. Is like some of the jokes. The 20-something girls that were sitting next to me, they laughed a lot of the pop humor jokes.
Yeah.
The little kid in the family that were sitting next to me. The mom didn't laugh at all throughout the movie. I don't know if
she was not amused.
Yeah, the little kid laughed at all, like the potty humor that kind of jokes. But there was a lot of jokes that I laughed at that seemed like nobody else got.
It was like
and maybe retro stuff, maybe a little bit more inside baseball.
Reference to like old school movies and stuff like that.
And the Marvel comics and stuff. Well, the one that I really laughed at was Zeitgeist. When Zeitgeist appears and says, "Oh, I'm Zeitgeist." He's like, "Oh, well, you have your pulse on the."
You have you sense the pulse of the society. No, I vomit acid. And so you really just have comedy for everybody.
I laughed at that, and nobody was laughing. I was like, "Okay, I don't know what Zeitgeist is."
Clearly, they weren't on YouTube when it first got big.
Exactly. Talk about the music.
Let's talk about that music. What do you think about that music?
The music was great in the movie. If you haven't seen the music video, I think the song's called Ashes.
I'm not sure, but it's by Celine Dion, Deadpool.
Yeah, she does the song.
Watch the full video.
It's
beautiful
hilarious.
Song and funny.
And it's like a real love ballad, and that's the whole thing I like because it had real genuine music. They had a Cher song.
Well, they did.
That was really good, and I was kind of humming the song after I left the theater. But then they have the other song,
Dubstep
Time
in there. Time is on.
Was it not Time After Time?
Wasn't it?
Something about time.
I know too. They also had, like I said, they had Skrillex in there, and it was funny when they referenced it. Like they referenced the music a lot.
Yes.
They had some more rap in there. They didn't beat you to death with it, and then they had what is it? Do you want to build a snowman? And was it from Yentl?
Well, Yentl.
He was talking about the similarities in the song.
Papa, Can You Hear Me?
Yeah, there's a song in the movie Yentl with Barbra Streisand. Is that the one where she wants to be like learn the Torah or something?
Something like
that. Well, either way, she sings a song and it's Papa, Can You Hear Me? Something that. And he gets obsessed with, doesn't that song sound like something else? And then later he's like, do you want to build a snowman? And he's like, that. He's just obsessed that it's the same song. It was funny.
And that's what I like at the end when, well, another spoiler, at the end of the movie, Deadpool actually dies. But I love, like, as he's dying, that joke of as he's dying,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like keeps dying, then he comes back. Oh no, I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead yet. And when he just starts, and I remember it was kind of sad when he starts singing. It's like, "Do you want to build a snowman?"
It really
and
was.
it's kind of really emotional, and the movie has so much emotion in it.
Oh, there's a bit of a, not really a spoil, another Easter egg. The scene when he's fighting the Fire Fist and big explosions, ash everywhere, and it turns his red costume gray and black.
Yeah, I love that look.
That's his costume from X-Force in the comics.
I think I'd seen that image before. Where it's all the gray and black.
It is very cool.
Yes.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
What else? Was there anything else you want to talk about?
They do reference a lot the guys who created. There was one man who created Deadpool, Cable, Domino, and he was sort of famous in the 90s for not knowing how to draw human anatomy. The muscles would always be way overdone and connecting to weird things. He'd always draw like too many teeth, or it seemed like he would just have like a white block and then just do like sort of a squiggle, which made it look like too many teeth. Bad women's anatomy, especially, like there was like heavy butts and boobs and super thin waists. And famously, he was a guy who put pouches on everything. Unnecessary amounts of pouches and the ridiculous guns that wouldn't work if they're put together. And for Cable, he has the big ridiculous gun. It goes up to 11. And he has like this tactical fanny pack kind of thing that he actually goes into. And that scene I won't spoil for you because it's awesome.
Well, I love that scene where he's building his gun. I don't know. And just like you see his vision or whatever as he's building the gun. It's just so cool. Josh Brolin knocks it out of the park. Everybody knocks it out of the park.
Fourth wall breaks, calls Cable the Winter Soldier, calls Cable the Thanos. He's straight up, and like reference to the DC universe with how dark he's getting. Those are the ones that come off to mind, but there's like a ton of them, and I'm sure I missed like a whole bunch.
Yeah. Were there any things you didn't like about the movie?
I'm sure there are things. It's not even a not like oh man, they should have done this different. It's more like I would have liked to have seen more things.
Yeah.
That is because it is pretty much it is very in tone with the Deadpool 1 movie, and I think I'm starting to see this in a lot of movies where it feels a little bit more like an episode and a show than a huge movie.
Yeah,
a very comic book though. It's like it felt there's another day. It didn't like beat you to death with this epic battle that will change the world for the better forever. It is very much, and tomorrow we have to pay the bills.
Yeah. I like that aspect of it, and I'm glad it wasn't some big end of the world kind of thing.
Kind of was. That's the funny thing is that it kind of was, but it was just they didn't put it in that.
The whole thing was that the kid was going to grow up and then he was going to cause all this chaos.
But he didn't really care about the chaos that he caused. He cared about. He even emphasized Cable saying, he's like he killed a bunch of people and then he killed the wrong people. I thought he was going to say something about he killed like the president, like how they did with was it the part 2?
Iron Man? You talking about?
No, X-Men.
X-Men.
It was the one with the Sentinels.
X-Men Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, yeah, the time travel one.
Yeah.
And they had her, Mystique killed General, and that made everybody realize, mutants are evil, we got to destroy them all. That's not what Cable cared about at all. Even though he's from the time zone of Days of Future Past where like mutants are bad, it was because he killed his family, his wife and daughter. And that scene, there's like they don't show you them dying, but the skeletons of them left over is hardcore. He picks up his daughter's teddy bear, and it's covered in ash. But whenever they ask, he said it's my daughter's blood because, of course, the blood splatter and then turn to ash. Also, teddy bear and his daughter's name, Hope. That's a reference to in the comics.
Isn't she like this crazy mutant?
Yeah, she's like crazy powers. Like they're just like way overpowered, and she goes kind of insane too. I doubt they're going to tie that into something later. It's probably more of just a reference.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if they continue with the movies, like I say, they don't know if they're going to make any more.
I really feel... Oh, there you are. They don't know it's code for their saying, like, we need a little bit of extra money.
Well, if Fox wasn't going to be sold, I know they'd have it on their slate. But, we'll see. But the one thing I thought I think the funniest part of the movie was in the end credits.
Oh, yeah.
Where Deadpool... So... Cable has the whatever he has time travel thing
device,
but he only has enough power to go back to the past in order to try to kill the kid or stop the Fire Fist. Then he has enough power to go back into the future
to his regular time.
But he doesn't go back to the future. He does it to revive Deadpool. He goes back just in time in order to save Deadpool's life.
The memento of his love.
Yeah. The coin. That was a pretty cool follow through throughout the movie.
It really was.
But then Negasonic Teenage Warhead and her girlfriend, they fix the device. Mm-hmm. And Deadpool goes back. And of course he goes back to save Vanessa. And he goes back to save his girlfriend. Which was, in any other movie, I felt it would have been a cop-out.
Yeah.
It would have ruined it. But I was like, it deserved it.
Yes.
It worked its way to that.
And then he goes to work.
Then he goes back and he kills the Deadpool character from X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, Weapon...
That's so cool.
Weapon 5?
XI,
yeah.
whatever.
So Weapon 11.
Weapon 11.
And then goes back and kills Ryan Reynolds right whenever he's accepting the Green Lantern script.
Yes.
There's this, "You're welcome, Canada."
And did you hear about the one end credit sequence they didn't put in the movie?
Well, Peter, the guy, he saved Peter's life.
Oh, he saves Peter too. I forgot about that.
But
that was really
cool. Tell me
cool.
about the one credit they did put in.
You remember the joke where when Cable comes to visit Deadpool when he's with Blind Al?
Yeah.
And he says, when Deadpool criticizes him, says, "You have all this power to travel through time. How come you don't go back to kill Baby Hitler?" Mm-hmm. They had a scene where Deadpool goes back in time and he kills Baby Hitler. Oh. But they said that it was too much. They actually screened it for one audience. And the audience didn't react well to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly what was in the scene.
I want to know where they filmed it, that they were like, "Oh, don't kill Baby Hitler. Hitler's great."
Or I think the whole thing was like, he goes back and he finds Baby Hitler and he's like, "Well, I can't kill him because he's a baby." And then that Deadpool draws the mustache on him and says, "Oh, this makes it much easier." Or some kind of joke like that, but it was going too far, so they decided to cut it. Which I think maybe is a good idea. I don't know. Maybe that would have been too out there.
Yeah, I'm just making fun of people for it. Whatevs. I would like to see it in the, what is it, Blu-ray?
We'll see if they put it in. Copy. And because that was one thing too, was like in Deadpool 2, it is crazy, it is out there, but it felt a little bit more mainstream. Like a little more audience friendly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, they didn't have like a whole montage of sex.
Exactly, that kind of stuff.
You know, the funny thing is though, they dropped the montage of sex for a montage of gore. America's fine with that. In France and like Europe, the rest of them, they're like, "Oh no, why would they do this? It is so bloody and edible. Oh, let me take my child out of here, child. Smoke on that while I carry you out." Oui, papa. Oui.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, well, you're surprised. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a whole bunch of European films and been surprised by some of the stuff that's in those movies. And
yes,
like
have I.
Yeah,
casual, but like no violence. Way
violence.
Too
there's no violence. There's minimal bad language. A lot of smoking. A lot of drinking.
Interesting.
A lot of nudity from both sides.
Yeah,
but Deadpool. That's why Deadpool is much more mainstream audience.
Mm-hmm.
Mainstream
they
audience.
Straight up rip him in half. The end effect, he grows baby legs that are totally disturbing.
Yeah.
You see his CGI wang, and there's a continuity with that. That instead of getting like a new costume, he has it taped up.
I like that a little bit. Yeah, they really paid a lot of attention to all the details, which I really like.
Callbacks were great.
Yes. But there's a lot more that we could talk about this movie. It was really good.
I can't think of anything else to talk about.
I don't know if you rate movies, like give them like a number rating, 1 out of 10.
No, not like
not
that.
Really.
I do just more of a watch. There's like the best rating I've ever heard is go to theaters, watch at home, rent, own, or like wait for it to come out. And honestly, I'm all for I'm for all of it. I say theaters, it's a great own. I think I'd like to see what the special features are, but I'm sure they're gonna load it up with, and especially Deadpool, they just have tons of extra stuff that they could include and make it super amazing. And when it comes on TV, I'm gonna watch it again.
It was a lot of fun.
So
don't take your kids to see it though.
Yeah.
No. Did you have any kids in your?
I saw it at Draft House, so they're pretty good about keeping.
I should have gone to see it at the Draft House, but I wanted to see it as soon as possible. I was only able to get tickets.
Draft House is pretty good about like getting people out who are noisy.
Yeah.
I will say, I wasn't as happy that their menu seems to be shrinking. The drink menu is obviously growing. It is a Draft House, but that's more of a thing. I wasn't happy with, but I can understand it. It's
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna ask them to change it.
Well, I'm gonna try to go see Solo at the Draft House. I think that'd be a good experience.
I'm gonna see Solo at not the Draft House.
Really?
So it's gonna be loaded with kids, lightsabers flying everywhere, and I'll
God.
be like, I don't care.
All right, really good movie, Deadpool 2. Recommend it.
We do.
Yeah.
I do.
So hope you enjoyed this spoiler-filled review, and we'll have some more reviews coming up. Don't forget to check out our other reviews. We have, of course, a non-spoiler review for Deadpool, a non-spoiler review for the TV series Cobra Kai, which you haven't seen yet, right?
I have not.
All right.
I
Nor
won't.
the review or the show, right?
Neither.
Neither. Okay. And then a review for...
I'll watch the
Avengers Infinity War.
spoiler-filled one because that'll just help me know what the show is. Let
It's
us
a
know
really
if we
good show.
missed Easter eggs or other things. That would be cool. Like, I seriously want to know.
Yeah. And thank you for watching.
Peace.